if you were a prince who was heir to the throne, would you marry me if I were a peasant? Like a fairy tale?
No, probably not. No,
Wait,
that would make sense.
You said no to a fairy tale with me?
No, because again, that literally would make sense. I'm not only
You
my
said
prince,
no to a fairy tale?
Gabby, not only my prince, I am the heir to the throne, meaning that any marriage that I would be a part of would have to have great political influence and significance. There is no way that in any scenario that I would be allowed to marry a peasant girl. Hell, even if I was the second, third, or fourth born child, that still probably wouldn't be a thing that would be allowed. Now, the further down we go, the more likely it is that something will be allowed, at least in the case of maybe something being looked past. But no, if I'm the literal heir to the throne, then that is one of the most valuable positions you could have.
Yeah.
And you will need to secure a marriage in order to be able to secure stability within the country.
Yep. Okay. Cool.
That's don't you get
no, my feelings are not hurt. I'm gonna go find a 12th son to marry. Okay.
That's
goodbye.
That's probably realistic.
Goodbye.
Answer,
Yeah.
actually,
Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you want your wedding ring? Here, take it off my finger. I don't want it. Take it back. Take it, babe. Okay.
It's
cool.
the real answer.
If you are triggered by his answer, then you need to subscribe to this channel and you need to come and join my Patreon, because this is something that we have been talking about on this channel here and on my Patreon for years. Class, being aware of class and status is something that a lot of women need to catch up. A lot of women need to do, because we are way behind men when it comes to being class conscious. And because I don't know, I don't have another name to call it, but I call it class conscious, being aware of class and hierarchy. Because at the end of the day, this is a patriarchal system, and men are very much aware of class. They are very much aware of their status in society. They are very much aware of their lot in life, and they all have a hierarchy mindset. So when it comes to dating and marriage, men are never ever sentimental. It's never ever ever about love. Okay? It always has to be beneficial to them. And once you understand this as a woman, then only then I feel like your relationship, because for me, the relationship that I have with men are a lot better once I learn the truth about men. I downloaded that video about a week ago so that I can reply to it, but I should have taken some screenshots of the comments, because a lot of women were butthurt in the comment section in that video. And so is the lady who actually made the video. I mean, honestly, she should be grateful that he gave her that answer, because that is literally the only correct and logical answer in that hypothetical situation, that hypothetical scenario. I feel like if he had, better social skills and emotional intelligence, the right answer should have been, babe, I would have abdicated this throne for you, or I would marry you anyway. But, I feel like that's the answer she was looking for. And I feel like he didn't really read the room. But at the end of the day, you asked a question and you got an answer. And it is what it is. Women think that their money and their status and their wealth doesn't matter. Because if you're listening to people like Shira 7, and again, I am not against Shira 7, because, Shira 7 was basically the gateway to get us where we are right now on this journey. Okay? If you listen to someone like Shira, she would say that, oh, men don't really care about what you do, blah, blah, blah. But they really care, because she will tell you, she will make you believe that the only men that care are dusties, and that is far from the truth. I think I need to use my ring light, because I'm using natural light and it's a little bit cloudy outside, so I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and I'm not enjoying this bright light in my face anyways, but let's continue with the conversation. So like I was saying, men really do care about status. As a matter of fact, men are way more obsessed with status and wealth and money than women are. But yet still, we are the gold diggers. And honestly, the term gold digger is basically for a woman who is not of high status, a woman who is not wealthy, because wealthy women are not called gold diggers. I've never seen it. Maybe it happens. In some cases, in some rare cases, maybe it does happen. We all know that the term gold digger is not for wealthy women or women who came from wealth, or women who has a wealthy or rich daddy, whatever you want to call it. It's basically regular women, working class women, and middle class women that are called gold digger. And basically, the term gold digger is just a term, a derogatory term that men made up to shame women into lowering their standards. Because at the end of the day, a gold digger is a woman with standards. That's it. There's literally no getting around it. If you were ever called a gold digger, it's because you have standards. You have standards and you have expectations. Because men don't like that we have standards and expectations. And I just think it's really interesting because if you go back in history, you would realize that women had no choice or any say in most cases, like in the majority of cases, women had no choice or any say in who they married because it was arranged by their fathers. Okay, because usually your father was the one that was negotiating for you. And if you were from a culture where the groom paid a bride price, he would negotiate your dowry, or in some cases, the men will get the dowry. Okay, like you marry my daughter, and I'm going to give you land. I'm going to give you sheep and goat or whatever the hell you want to call it. I'm going to give you a castle. Like, just marry my daughter and get her off my hands, because women were basically goods. Like, for example, if you go back to slavery, slaves were a commodity. It was something that you can sell in the market. So that's why they call it the marriage market, because at the end of the day, it is a market, and everybody have some sort of perceived market value, especially in today's society. So at the end of the day, your father was the one that would negotiate for you. Your father was the one that would find someone to marry you. And your father was the one that would have these standards. Your father would be like, okay, I want someone who can actually afford to take care of my daughter. And of course, men will respect that. Okay, and when they come into your father to get your hand in marriage, they're going to come correct, because men in this patriarchy only respect other men. They don't respect women. So as a woman, you shouldn't have standards. They are so entitled to you that they are infuriated when a woman has standards, because how dare you have standards? You're a woman. So at the end of the day, all of that stuff, you got to remember, all of this knowledge, information, people carry in their DNA. Men remember, okay, their DNA remembers a time when women had no freedom, and when they were entitled to have a bride or a wife or whatever you want to call it. Things have changed now, and they are not catching up with the times at all. The only men that care about love are basically poor men that have absolutely nothing to offer. Because most men are not marrying you because they love you. They're marrying you because of who you are, who your daddy is, your status, your cultural background, maybe because you're also a Muslim. They're not marrying marrying you because they love you. It's very rare that happens. And if a man is a king, or maybe he is in line to be heir of the throne, and he wants to marry a woman that he really, really loves, then he's going to either find a way to make it happen, or he's going to abdicate the throne, right? So, the fact that, women are not aware of this is really fascinating to me, because I don't understand why women don't understand how men think. Men look at marriage as an alliance, as a business, something to do, something to get out of their way so that they can focus on other things. That's why men get married. Okay, if a man marries you, it's because of what you bring, the value that you bring, or let's say maybe he is dragging his feet and he's not proposing. If he proposes, it's because maybe you come up on some money, or maybe he's afraid of losing you. Men don't marry people because, they dream of being married and they have their dream wedding. Like, they don't. They just don't. It doesn't happen. I just think it's so fascinating that this regular guy is so aware. And I just love the way that he expresses his thoughts process in this, because this is exactly what I've been trying to tell you all, and like people don't listen. Okay, so right now on my Patreon, I have a series all about moving up in class and becoming upper class. I have a series on that, so I highly recommend that you hit the link below and subscribe to my Patreon, because it is very helpful. Like, one of these days, I'm going to make a video dedicated to testimonies, because maybe if I share some testimonies, maybe then you guys will believe me. But make the investment, ladies. Okay, if you're not sure, maybe just sign up for just 1 month, and if it's not something for you, you can just unsubscribe at any time. But anyways, back to that conversation. Men see marriage and relationship completely different from women, because women, we have been brainwashed with fairy tales. Because in the video, she's like saying that, if I were a peasant, would you marry me like a fairy tale? And honestly, I'm trying to figure out which fairy tale a prince married a peasant, because Cinderella wasn't a peasant. Cinderella's father was new money, and there are a lot of destitute aristocrats, meaning that it's like the third or fourth generation and the money has run out, and they are basically like they have like a lot of assets, but they're cash poor. These people exist and they've always existed. Okay. New money, like, back in the day, it was the merchants and stuff like that. They were the ones that wanted the titles and they wanted access to high society. And because they came with so much money, a lot of these aristocrats will marry off their daughters, or the aristocratic men will marry the daughters of new money men in order for them to be able to continue on their lineage with that money. Because at the end of the day, if you're marrying someone who is old money, you better be coming with money. Because I try to advise women to stay away from old money, because honestly, the best thing you can do for these people is let them marry their cousins. Okay, that's all I'm going to say on that, because this is YouTube at the end of the day. But yeah, we have to stop believing in fairy tales, because I can't think of a fairy tale off the top of my head where a prince married a peasant. If there's one, let me know, because I'm sure they exist. Because but people want to think of Cinderella as a commoner, but at the end of the day, Cinderella, her stepmother was a lady, meaning that she had a title. In order for you to have the title of lady, you have to be of noble class, okay? Noble class or aristocratic class. Like, they don't just give out these titles just to anyone. And, her daddy was a wealthy merchant that she married. Lady Tremaine? Her family was in debt. They were in so much debt, and they just wanted someone with money to marry, and she married this guy. I don't think it was her first marriage. Even as an old money person, you don't get to be the first pick. You know what I mean? Yeah, it definitely wasn't her first marriage, because she came into that marriage already having 2 kids. So he married this woman who was old money, and he was new money, probably trying to level up or trying to social climb, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with social climbing, because I do not know why social climbing get a bad rap. Most people that are wealthy today, especially old money, is because someone of their ancestors made a great decision and decided to social climb and elevate the social status of himself and his family. It's that simple, right? But anyways, yes, Cinderella wasn't a peasant. Cinderella was what you would call new money. Okay, there's a difference between a merchant with a lot of money who can afford to marry a lady and a peasant, because a peasant was basically the permanent underclass, someone that belonged to the permanent underclass. That's basically what it is. And we have to be aware of these different classes in society, because it's never going to go away. Like, I don't care what planet is in Aquarius and all that BS. Class is never going to go away, because it has always been with us and it's not going to go anywhere. As a matter of fact, most likely there might be a time where wealthy people are just going to isolate themselves even more, to the point where we don't even have access to them on social media. That's what it looks like, but I don't know. I could be wrong. Cinderella was a girl that was mistreated by her stepmom. That was it. She wasn't a peasant, okay? Okay, her father went off and never came back, died or whatever. And Lady Tremaine, who thought that, she hit the jackpot by marrying this guy, was left all alone, in debt, couldn't afford to pay her servants. So, who did she take that frustration on? Cinderella, because, come on. So, I understand Lady Tremaine's side of the story. Like, I really do understand her issues and, her struggles and whatnot. But most people don't, because at the end of the day, fairy tales are for poor people. Fairy tales are for broke people. Fairy tales are for peasants. Okay? More than these fairy tales where a regular girl marries a prince or whatnot, that is a fantasy, because it does happen. And it happens in very rare cases. But in most cases, okay, because at the end of the day, we are not the exception to the rule. In most cases, in a situation like that, where a man is a prince and he's literally the heir to the throne, he's not going to be allowed to marry just anyone. He's not going to be allowed to marry the woman that he loves, because Prince Charles, or King Charles, because it's King Charles now, he wasn't allowed to marry Camilla. And it's just so fascinating how this man is so aware of how this whole thing works. Like, I'm pretty impressed by his answer. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like, I'm pretty impressed. But at the end of the day, you have to understand that men are very aware of this. Hypergamy is a word that women have only discovered within the past 5 or 7 years. Most women, like 5 years ago, you didn't know what hypergamy was. 7 years ago, you didn't know what hypergamy was. Like, I didn't hear that word hypergamy until the year 2016. I had no idea what it was. So, but you know who knew what it was? Men. Because men have always been talking about hypergamy. They've been talking about hypergamy in their little Reddit posts, Reddit threads, in their little group chats and the manosphere. They have always been talking about it before women even started talking about it. So men are very much aware of what's going on. And unfortunately for you, you that bought into the whole fairy tales and you believe in love and all that stuff like that, like you have no idea. You have no idea what's going on. You're wondering why you're like 35 and no one has ever asked you to marry them. Like you never got a marriage proposal. You never get a guy to commit to you and take you seriously. And the reason for that is because you're broke and you have no status. It's that simple. Or if you have a man, he's probably using you for your resources. You have a house, you have your own house, you drive a car, whatnot. This is what men are looking for. Men are the original hypergamy queens, okay? They have always been hypergamous. They've always been trying to marry to level up. That's how men used to level up back in the day. They used to get married, okay? They would marry a wealthy man's daughter, a rich merchant's daughter, an aristocratic girl. That's what they would do to level up in life. Because at the end of the day, marriage was invented for men. This is why men that are married live longer. This is why they are more successful. This is why they get more money. This is why they're more likely to get promoted, because marriage has always been there to benefit men and to also bring groups and families together. Marriage, at no point in time, marriage was ever about love. Marriage being about love is something that is very recent, and men still view marriage the same way. They are not sentimental when it comes to these things. So now that you are aware of this, what do you do with this information? The thing is, all I can do is, if a man is in your life and a man wants to be in your life, you need to figure out what it is that he wants from you. Because a lot of women are entertaining men and they do not know what these men want from them. Because honestly, if you do not know what a man wants from you, I just feel like I wouldn't be comfortable like that. And if you do not know, or you have no idea, you think because you're so beautiful and he just loves you or whatnot, because you fall for all his compliments or whatnot and his sweet words, then he definitely has an upper hand and you are basically a sitting duck. Because if you do not know what a man wants from you, then you have no idea what you're setting yourself up for. There are women that are married to men that they think that love them, but a man is only married to you because you go 50-50. Or because you make a lot of money, or because maybe you're a doctor or a dentist. Like, that is how crazy it is. And, I just think that, men, they are very much aware of this, but somehow they want their cake and eat it too. Like, they really want to be out here going after women for whatever reason, because it's never about them loving us for who we are. Let's be real. But then they want unconditional love from us. They expect unconditional love. And then they want us to like them for them and not their money. It's just so crazy to me. And, I just feel like as a woman, you should do a self-assessment and figure out what a man wants from you. Do not ask him, because he's just going to lie to you. You need to figure out what a man wants from you, what this man wants from you. This man is probably wanting you because he gets to have regular sex with you, or maybe you elevate his status in some way, like you make him look good, or maybe your daddy has money, or maybe you have money. Like, you gotta figure out what a man wants from you, because honestly, like, I swear to God, when men decide to marry, it's not because, oh, I'm in love and I want to start a family and let's make it official. Because we all know men don't have to marry you to start families. They're out here starting broken families and creating broken homes everywhere. But then they will create broken homes with you and be with you for 10 years. And when they level up, then they finally find a woman that they always wanted a woman that makes them look good, a woman that makes them look good in the eyes of society, because men are always conscious of class and status. They always care about how they look and what people think about them. They are not special, okay, and they're not above all of this. So make an assessment of yourself. Maybe write it down, write some notes or whatnot, and figure out what the men that you're entertaining. Figure out what they want from you, because if you don't, it's just like I said, you're a sitting duck. And if you are a marriage-minded woman, I want you to be very much aware of status and class as well. You do not marry anyone who doesn't make you look good also, and someone who doesn't improve the quality of your life or complements your life. Because a lot of women are being used for their money and resources, and they don't even know. They don't even know it. And yet still, we are the ones that are called gold diggers. It's just so ironic when you really think about it. But yeah, I mean, I'm not triggered by that video. That video is actually quite interesting, because it just goes to prove, like, it's really confirmation of what I've been saying. Men are very much aware of class. They care about class. They care about status. They care about money. They care about all that stuff. They really do care. And if you think otherwise, then you are very naive. So anyway, that's all I have to say today. Thank you for listening.